The series begins with the protagonist, Spear, fishing, and returning to the cave while protecting himself from a giant crocodile and a pterosaur in the jungle. When he arrives at his family's den, he discovers theropods devouring his wife and 2 children. Inflamed Spear attacks them, but they are summoned by their gargantuan alpha. In his despair, he climbs a high cliff to commit suicide, but then abandons the plan and spends the night on the cliff. In the morning, he sees his family in his vision with the rising sun, which gives him new hope. Later, while eating fish, he spots Fang, a tyrannosaurus, and rushes to attack it, believing it is theropod that ate his family. When he arrives, he discovers it is a female tyrannosaurus with 2 young offspring. He then saves them from theropod attacks and kills one of the theropods. After some time, despite Fang and Spear's resistance, the other theropod attacks and devours both offspring. After avenging his family and Fang's children, Spear wanders on the beach when Fang appears, and Spear realizes that they both have left nothing in their lives. Spear is about to hunt a boar, but Fang gobbles it. Frustrated, Spear kills another boar, but it is also stolen by Fang, causing Spear to yell in frustration. Enraged Spear then climbs a tree to get some fruits, but Fang knocks him down and eats the fruit Spear has taken. Spear rushes to attack her furiously, but stops then. At night, Spear cannot sleep due to Fang snorting, and he throws stones at her face. To divert his attention, he creates shadow puppets on the wall, which causes him to recall his children. The next day, Spear goes to the forest to hunt a deer, but Fang again runs to steal it, and Spear threatens her with his spear. Despite Spear's warning, Fang steals the deer, and Spear becomes enraged and attacks her. They fight viciously and injure each other. They start running after noticing a swarm of snakes approaching them while fighting. A violent flood arrives, carrying countless snakes with it, and they both struggle to survive together. Fang saves Spear after he suffers a head injury, and they begin hunting together and sharing their kills after that. A herd of mammoths is walking through a blizzard, but an elderly mammoth is unable to continue and is separated from the herd. Later, while it is wandering in search of its herd, Spear and Fang find it and kill it after a bloody battle. They cut and take some of its meat and tusk to a cave. The herd of mammoths discovers the old mammoth's half-cut body being scavenged by wolves at night and mourns loudly. Fang is delighted at their hunt and enjoys it, while Spear recalls when he first taught his son how to hunt, and they both successfully hunted a large animal. Spear is thinking about his family when a herd of mammoths follows their footprints into the cave and attacks them. Spear and Fang are badly injured after a fierce fight, and mammoths corner them. Spear defends himself with the old mammoth's tusk, realizing that the herd wants the tusk. They leave after he offers them the tusk. After some time, the herd transports the tusk to the mammoth's graveyard and performs a ritual to say goodbye to their deceased member. Fang is running with Spear on her back, pursued by a pack of dromaeosaurids. Spear is constantly counterattacking in an attempt to save himself and Fang, but the pack of dromaeosauridae quickly surrounds them. The pack flees in terror before Spear and Fang can react. The moon turns red, and the entire area is blanketed in fog. They come across a frail caveman carrying a dead boar, who stumbles and injures his leg. He then screams and hoots to summon his family, but is attacked by a large flying creature when another caveman arrives to assist him. Spear then transports the injured caveman and the dead boar back to their cave. A swarm of large humanoid bats suddenly attacks them, and despite a fierce fight, one of the bats picks up Spear and carries him to their nest. Fang tries but is unable to enter the tall cave of bats. She then tricks bats into bringing her into their cave, where she finds Spear and many other people wrapped in spider webs. A massive prehistoric spider then tries to encircle Fang, but she and Spear kill the spider and flee. The pack of bats chases them, but they lead the pack to a location where a large number of dromaeosaurids eat all the bats, giving them a chance to flee. Spear and Fang find a peaceful and charming oasis. Fang drinks water, and Spear tries fishing, and is surprised to see he can catch fish with his hand. He makes a pile of fish, and Fang eats all of them before relaxing on the beach. She also leaves her footprint on the sand alongside Spear's handprint to demonstrate their friendship. Spear then swims in the oasis, while Fang relaxes on a boulder. He notices some shadows approaching Fang while swimming, and when he comes out of the water, Fang is missing, with dragging marks on the ground. He is looking for Fang when something knocks him out. He is entangled with Fang, and many humanoids are performing a ritual. Some ape-man gorillas fight each other, and the champion ape-man is served a drop of ooze. He then transforms into a massive gorilla and attacks Fang, while Spear frees himself. Spear consumes the same ooze, transforms into a giant, and slaughters all the apes. The next morning he awakens in his true form, covered in blood and with dead bodies lying all over the arena. He then sees Fang and rushes toward her, but she seems dead. Spear thinks Fang is dead, but after some time Fang starts breathing, and he quickly gives her some water. Spear then applies wet clay to Fang's wounds, and makes a stretcher for Fang's body using bamboo and vines. Finally, Spear manages to lift Fang's body on the stretcher and drag it, and he reaches the forest. At night, he lights a fire to set a defensive perimeter after seeing a wild dog. In the morning, he makes a harness for the stretcher to drag it easily and reaches the cave after dragging continuously. Some wild dogs chase them, and Spear forces them to flee, but they return after some time. At night, Spear awakes and finds a lot of flesh-eating insects over his and Fang's bodies. He starts hitting and manages to kill them all. He cooks them for himself and Fang. In the morning, he closes the cave door with stones before going outside. A pack of wild dogs tries to find a way in, but Spear fights and forces them to leave. Fang tries to get up when she sees the injured Spear, but Spear calms her down. Hundreds of dogs have gathered outside the cave, and Spear uses insect shells to kill them. Fang soon joins him. A herd of Argentinosaurus is grazing in a valley when a Parasaurolophus, a hadrosaur infected by a mysterious disease, bites one of them. The Argentinosaurus that has been bitten transforms into a Parasaurolophus and begins killing other Argentinosaurus. After a while, Spear and Fang pass through the same valley and are surprised to see that no scavengers have touched the dead body. They are attacked by Parasaurolophus and flee to a small cave. While sleeping in the cave, Spear has a dream in which a Parasaurolophus bites him and Fang, and their bodies decay. After waking up, Spear discovers Parasaurolophus on the cliff, seemingly dead. Spear and Fang try to flee, but Parasaurolophus gets up and chases them, and while doing so, its massive body becomes stuck in a narrow crevasse, and Spear and Fang reach a volcanic plain. They make their way through fire when Parasaurolophus manages to come out and attack them. However, they are successful in reaching the other side of the cliff by using its neck as a ramp, and Parasaurolophus falls into the lava and burns to ashes. Spear and Fang see a caveman suspended over green flames, and a group of witches summon their head witch, who transforms into a black demon with green lights. A green magical snake emerges from the caveman's throat, sucking his life force, and slithers into the body of the head witch, forming a baby in her womb. She then takes out the baby and hands it over to the other witches. A witch spots Spear and Fang and alerts the head witch, and they all begin chasing them. Spear and Fang become separated while running, and a witch uses magic to control Fang. The next morning, Spear finds himself tied above the same spot where the caveman was tied the night before. Then Fang appears, accompanied by the small witch who controls her. The witch then uses magic to travel to Spear and Fang's memories and learn about their past. The witch then travels back in time to when her daughter died after falling off a cliff. She then makes ritual marks on Spear's body. When the head witch appears at night, the small witch kills it, allowing Spear and Fang to flee. The head witch transforms into a massive wolf, but the small witch distracts it, causing Spear and Fang to flee, but she herself is killed by the head witch. A Smilodon is searching for prey when it notices some creature in the forest. The next morning, Spear and Fang go to the forest and discover Smilodon's corpse, which agitates Fang and causes him to flee. At night, the strange creature again attacks a herd of ceratopsians and slaughters one of them. When Spear and Fang hear the noise again, Spear grabs his weapon to fight the creature, but Fang blocks his path and roars, forcing Spear to sit. The next morning, Spear and Fang notice many birds scavenging the carcasses of animals slaughtered the night before. When a strong wind blows, they both hide behind a rock. Late at night, they hear a strange voice and run into the forest. When they stop for a while to take a rest, the strange creature suddenly attacks them, but they can hardly save themselves. Suddenly, Spear hits his weapon, which causes a fire after striking with a rock, and the creature flees. After knowing the creature's weaknesses, Spear and Fang collectively force it to go outside the forest, where Spear stabs it with his burning weapon and kills it. Spear and Fang are fishing when a Homo sapiens woman appears in the water, is chased by a Leopleurodon, and flees to the forest. Spear pursues the woman after he and Fang kill the Leopleurodon. Spear corners Fang and puts down his weapon, lighting a fire to warm her. At night, Spear sees her praying to the moon, and in the morning they move further, and the woman accompanies them. The woman later cooks some meat and vegetables, and the next morning Fang and Spear free her from her wooden collar and iron cuffs. For the first time, the woman speaks and introduces herself as Mira. She makes a bow and kills a dinosaur after Spear and Fang fail to kill it. Mira then tells her story by drawing on the dust that her tribe was enslaved by invaders, and she is the only one who managed to escape. Spear seems to understand what she draws, and later they cross a river on Fang's back. They reach a cave where Mira prays to the moon, and Spear inquires about prayer, which she tells in her language. In the morning, Mira is captured by some monkey men, and Fang and Spear chase them, but they take Mira away on a boat with the same symbol Mira has on her head. Spear utters Mira's name for the first time. The second season begins with Spear diving into the sea and calling out to Mira. Spear swims toward the boat that is carrying Mira, but is washed back to shore. He then begins to cut the tree and construct a raft until morning, and then he starts sailing. The next morning, they are attacked by some giant sea turtles, and Spear dives into the water after them because they have nothing to eat. Spear tries to kill the giant turtle by forcing it to the surface, where Fang cuts its neck in a single bite. Then they both enjoy the raw meat of the turtle and use its shell as a shelter. Later, they are attacked by an enormous shark and pterodactyl-like creatures, and the shark destroys his raft and throws them into the water. The shark is about to swallow him, but he escapes. They are washed away by the stormy waves, and Fang ends up on a new beach. After opening her eyes, she searches for Spear but cannot find him. Fang is on the beach waiting for Spear when she hears a crackling noise and goes to investigate, where she encounters a red-headed dinosaur. Spear has also been on the same island, but he is far away from Fang. 3 humanoids carry him away while Fang and the red-headed dinosaur compete to hunt an Arsinoetherium. Spear awakens to find himself covered in mud, and he feels pain in his broken hand from the shark fight. Then a one-eyed woman appears and starts a purple fire. He tries to flee, and a swarm of humanoids pursues him. Spear fights back and counterattacks, while the old humanoid intervenes and provides Spear with food and water. Fang and the red-headed dinosaur eat meat, while Spear's arm and wounds are treated by a local healer. He is then invited to the Celt leader's home, and he makes a connection to a local dog. The red-headed dinosaur attacks villagers along with Fang when Spear appears there, and Red is about to attack him, but Fang blocks its way. Spear fatally wounds Red and injures himself after a bloody battle. When Red is about to kill Spear, Fang kills it and then comforts it in his last moments. Spear and Fang are sitting under a tree in a heavy rainstorm, and then they find a cave as a shelter from the rainstorm. Spear discovers paintings of many humanoids and dinosaurs on the cave's walls. The following morning, Spear walks through the forest until he reaches some plains, where he discovers the ruins of a village and imagines the people who once lived there. He brings Fang a deer, but Fang does not respond. Later that night, after seeing the moon, Spear recalls Mira and imitates her actions. In the middle of the night, a Viking rides in on a boar, but Spear and Fang force him to leave. They come across another Viking outside the cave who has the same symbol on his shield as Mira. Spear calls out Mira's name after seeing the symbol, and Viking flees from there to hear Mira's name. Spear pursues and injures him, but he breaks Spear's weapon. Spear and Fang reach a Viking village, and Spear goes to the shacks to find Mira leaving Fang. He then embraces Mira and sets all of the slaves free. Spear comes across a group of Vikings riding on bears after freeing slaves and Mira. They draw their weapons as Fang approaches and attacks their leader. When the fight begins, Mira and the other slaves flee, and one of the Vikings strikes a toll sheet in order to summon more warriors. Rika, a Viking woman, emerges from her home with her child and sees Spear slicing the warriors. Mira aids the slaves in their escape and steals a spear from Rika. Soon, Spear is surrounded by the Vikings, and Rika's child is firing arrows at Spear. Mira also fights and kills many Vikings, while Rika stabs Fang, but she counterattacks and kills Rika. Her child then rushes to attack Fang but is killed by them. The Vikings pursue Spear and Fang and fire arrows at them as they try to flee. They both manage to kill all the Vikings, join Mira, and escape on boats. After some time, a chieftain and his son come to the village and find dead bodies lying everywhere. The chieftain finds the dead bodies of his wife, Rika, and younger son. They seal all the corpses in a tomb, put the dead bodies of Rika and her son in the boat, and set it on fire to perform the last ritual. In 1890, in England, a scientist named Blakely reaches a house in the countryside where the owner of the house, Lord Darlington, and other scientists are waiting for him. One of the scientists, Charles, is giving information about the evaluation and primal instincts. He states that modern man is the same as his ancestors, but other scientists do not take this notion seriously. A local constable then informs them about the escape of an inmate from a nearby asylum. He warns them to be careful. They continue their discussion, and Lord Darlington counters Charles's notion while they hear a noise outside. Suddenly, a drop of blood falls from the ceiling crack, and after going upstairs, they find the corpse of a butler being eaten by the inmate. The escaped inmate then attacks them, kills Giroud and Bertie, and then kills the cook after coming down. Darlington then challenges the inmate to a fight after revealing that Darlington is a boxing champion. He then uses his boxing powers to strike the inmate, but in vain. Darlington then takes a bow, forcing the inmate to flee to the greenhouse. After a bloody fight, Darlington kills the inmate in a similar way to Spear, and Charles says his theory is true. Spear wakes up and sees Mira treating Fang and his wounds. Soon they are attacked by the chieftain and his son, and they start fighting. Despite the chieftain's brave fight, Spear manages to knock off his helmet. Suddenly their ships collide with rocks on the nearby shore and are broken in half. Mira tries to steer the ship to the shore and ties it to a tree with the help of Spear and Fang. After reaching the shore, Fang starts reacting strangely and building a nest. Spear realizes why Fang became sad over the death of Red Dinosaur, and he becomes happy to know that Fang is going to lay an egg. The chieftain rescues his son and takes him to the forest, where they treat each other's wounds. The chieftain sees a vision of his wife's death. His son hunts deer, and while eating, the chieftain remembers a meal with his family. Suddenly, they are attacked by a large Argentavis. Spear is waiting eagerly for Fang's eggs, and he and Mira are watching from a distance. Fang lays 3 eggs, and when Spear touches them, Fang knocks him out. The chieftain and his son go to Argentavis's nest, take control of them, and ride them to attack Spear and his group. When they both attack them, Mira and Spear fight with them while Fang protects her eggs. The chieftain and his son Eldar both fall from the birds, causing Eldar's death and the chieftain's severe injuries. After dealing with enemies, Mira and Spear come back to Fang. The chieftain is injured and dying on a rock. 3 women appear from the sky to take him back, but he is dragged to the underworld by a mysterious figure, where he steps upstairs and approaches a black demon entity with red eyes sitting on a throne. The floor cracks beneath the chieftain's feet, and he notices Eldar's body floating beneath it. The demon entity offers the chieftain the opportunity to exact revenge on Spear and Fang, and the soul of his son will be released as a result. He accepts the offer immediately, and then burns in the fire, transforming into a black giant. Fang is transferred to the boat with her eggs by Mira and Spear, and they begin their journey to meet Mira's other people. They come across a giant ship, Colosseus, rowing close to them in the morning. Spear and Mira fight the Egyptian warriors, while Fang protects her eggs and faces a large warrior named Kamau, who fights alongside them. One of Fang's eggs is destroyed during the battle. The Queen of Egypt takes the other 2 eggs as hostages and imprisons them. The Queen forces them to join Kamau to siege a Babylonian city. Spear, Mira, and Fang fight and kill many Babylonian soldiers. The chieftain emerges from the lava and conjures his weapon. The Egyptian queen takes a leopard cub from the Babylonian king, and a soldier then stabs him. The queen has kept Kamau's daughter hostage. Spear, Fang, and Kamawa are forced to fight in other battles, and afterward, they return to a pond to treat their wounds. A music party with a girl dancing is entertaining the Egyptian queen. The queen then dances herself to teach Mira how to dance before kicking the Philistine king off the balcony, killing him. The queen reaches another shore, but the people show no resistance and offer their food to her. She teases Kamau's daughter when he cannot understand her order. Spear escapes from the prison and makes his way to the queen's throne where Mira is dancing. He then battles the queen, and Mira flees with Kamau's daughter and Fang's egg, but she is pursued by soldiers. Fang's eggs hatch while Mira is running, but the queen steals them. Fang escapes from the prison and attempts to save her offspring. The Egyptian queen gathers everyone and orders Kamau to execute Fang. As he raises his axe, he remembers how he advised his daughter not to kill any creature. He then recalls when he first met the queen and how she controlled him by taking his daughter hostage. Kamau breaks Fang's chains and throws the axe toward the queen, but she takes a side and saves herself. Fang's offspring are freed and rush to their mother. Spear and Mira also set themselves free, and brutal combat starts. Spear fights with Queen Ima, but she proves a strong opponent and injures Spear. When one of Fang's offspring is hit by an arrow, Mira and Spear jump into the sea to save them, and Fang follows them. Kamau frees the slaves who have been forced to row the ship. He then kills Ima by throwing her overboard. Spear, Mira, and Fang, along with her offspring, are left on the ship, while Kamau and her daughter see a giant with a burning body walking on the water. Spear has a flashback in which his father, who was the leader of his tribe, was teaching him cave art when they were attacked by many Smilodons. Despite killing many of them, Spear's father was eaten by them, and the tribe's other members appointed him as a leader. Spear and his companions eventually arrive in a land where Mira recalls how her husband was murdered by Vikings, and she escaped. Spear and the group stay in a cave at night, and the next morning Mira meets her friend Amara, and they both go back to their tribe, followed by Spear and Fang. Mira is overjoyed to have been reunited with her tribe, and there is a celebration in her honor. Mira provides a room for Spear and Fang. The next morning, the chieftain attacks the village, and while fighting, Spear and Fang are wounded and burned badly. The demon drags the chieftain to the underworld for failing to kill Spear and Fang. Mira conceives his child after learning that Spear has left a few days of his life, and he dies soon after. After many years, Spear and Mira's daughter is riding on one of Fang's offspring, who are now adults.